Hello, it's Lisa from Epic Yarn Gems. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my free pattern for this pretty in pink baby blanket. The stitches that I'm going to be using are ones that I created with a combination of stitches to make the little puffs, so I really hope you enjoy the video. The yarn that I used was Yarnspiration's Bernat Softee Baby. I had used this yarn before in another blanket, and I did like how it worked out for this blanket as well. And you are going to need two colors if you want to make it in the same pattern that I did. And I used the plain white, and then the pink color was the baby pink marl. And the blanket size that I created was about 34.5 inches by 31.5 inches. And the amount of yarn I used was 2 skeins of the white. Each skein had 362 yards, and the pink yarn I used about 1.5 skeins. Just for your information, you can always make the blanket bigger or smaller, just increase or decrease the number of rows and also the number of the starting chain that you have done. And I used my 5mm hook for this blanket. And to get the width that I had, I used 130 chains. So when you're doing your foundation chain, just make sure that you are building in even numbers. It doesn't really matter how many chains you do, just as long as it is an even number. And however wide you want your blanket to be, that's how many chains that you're going to need. Like I said, for me, I did 130. Once you get to the end, you are going to go into the third chain from the hook, and you're going to do a double crochet. Whenever I write my patterns, I do not include the turning chains as stitches. So in this case, you will have 28 stitches after you finish this row, but it was the third chain from the hook, and then you're going to put a double crochet in each of the chains all the way back across. And when you get to the end, you are going to do a color change. Do that however works best for you. For me, what I do is for this is a double crochet, so I'm going to start the double crochet, and then right before I end, and I only have 2 loops on the hook, I'm going to pull in the next color. I lay that across my hook and pull it through to finish that stitch. And then, make sure everything is tight, so you give all of the ends a little tug. And the next row is going to start with the chain 2. So the first color, I just lay that across my hook, and then I do my chain 2. I like to do that and incorporate it because I don't really like to cut off the ends and then have to put them all in at the end. So for the row 2, we are going to do the special stitches, so I'm going to slow it down. So we're going to skip the first stitch, which is where you did the chain. So going into the next, you're going to yarn over, go under both V's, and pull up a loop. Then you are going to yarn over and in essence do 2 chains. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over, go into that same stitch, yarn over, and do a chain 2. So right now you should have a total of 5 loops on your hook. And what you're going to do now is yarn over and pull through the first 3 that are on your hook. What this is going to leave is still 3 loops on your hook, and you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. And that is what I'm calling your special stitch A in my instructions. Now we're going to go back to that stitch we skipped. So right in there, we're going to yarn over, go into that skip stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. Then we are going to do a chain 2, very similar to what we did in the first stitch, yarn over and pull through all 3. And that is what I'm calling your special stitch B. You need to watch that a couple more times. Just go back and watch the video again, but that is really the special stitches that we're going to be doing through this entire project for the row that is with the white yarn. So let's take a look at all of this again. Just finishing up that special stitch A. So for the B, you're going to go into the stitch that you skipped, yarn over, pull up a loop, do a chain 2, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and go through all 3 stitches. This is what we're looking like now, and you're going to skip that stitch, yarn over, go into the next stitch. We're going to do a chain 2, yarn over, going into the same stitch, doing the next chain 2. You'll have 5 loops on your hook, yarn over, you're going to go through the first 3, and then you are going to yarn over and go through the last 3. And then you're going to go back to that stitch that you skipped, yarn over, pull up a loop, do a chain 2, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and then you're going to go through those last 3, and you're going to do that all the way to the end of the row. So when you get to the end of the row, you should have visibly 2 of the stitches left, and you're going to end just the same way. There's nothing special. You're going to do that special stitch A, going back to the stitch that you skipped and doing that special stitch B. And once you complete that, what you're going to do is we're going to do just a straight row of single crochets. It's really the hook placement that's a little different here. So we're starting row 3 with a chain 1, turning your work, and we're just going to do a single crochet into that same stitch that we did the chain 1 in. So after we do this initial stitch, I want you to look to see where we're putting our hook. So you can see visibly 2 V's. There's one V and there's that back V. I'm going to want you to go into that back V and do a single crochet. By doing this, what it's creating is just a little line or a little ridge below the single crochet line, and it just adds a nice little bit of detail. In the way that this is done, you are creating a right side and a wrong side, and in the front or the right side is really all the detail. You'll see the little ridge from the row of single crochets. You also see the puffs from the special stitches, which is kind of an X puffy twist type look. And on the back, really it lays flat. It is just I guess the wrong side, but it's still a really pretty pattern from the back as well. And to start our next row, our row 4, we're going to do another color change. Do this any way that works best for you. For me, I just finish whatever the stitch is, the last stitch, with the new color, finishing that stitch. And then what I do is I lay the current color across my hook and then do whatever chain you need to do for the next row. So there I laid the white across my hook, and then I'm going to use the pink and incorporate that white strand up a little bit so that I don't have to keep cutting my yarn. And here you're going to start your row with a chain 2. I'm not really sure why this video is going so slow, so I do apologize for that, but for whatever reason I could not get it to go any faster. So after your chain 2, you are going to go in the stitch that you did the chain 2. Remember, the chain 2 does not count as a stitch, and you're going to do an entire row of double crochets all the way across. As we move into row 5, we are going to do a chain 1 and turn our work. Then what we're going to do is just a normal row of single crochets, going under both strands that make that V on top and doing a single crochet all the way across. There's no special placement for the hook in this single crochet. You're just going to go into that top V and you're going to make that row of single crochets. And really that is it. So rows 2 through row 5 is the repeat pattern, and you are just going to do that until you get to the desired length of your blanket. So a couple tips and tricks. You are going to change the yarn always on the same side. So If you do, like I was showing you, by pulling the yarn up to the next row, you won't have as many ends to weave in. Also, when you are doing the special stitches, don't do them too tightly because you are going to have to pull that yarn through. And you see, depending on the yarn, it can be a little splitty, and it is easier if you do the stitch a little looser. And then finally, it is a little bit of a yarn hog on the white. So just keep that in mind if you're looking to do this blanket. I did really like how it turned out. I did make it for a friend who just had a baby girl, and I'm hoping that she likes it because I haven't had a chance to give it to her yet. But as it worked up, it really did create a really cool textured pattern, and I was really happy with it. It is a little bit of a different stitch. Unless you crochet, you're probably not going to appreciate, all the little stitches that go into the puffs because they might look like just plain old puffs, but they do have a little bit of a twist and they do make a little different type of texture. So I do hope that you enjoy this video. I did enjoy making this blanket, and I am going to do another video to show you the border that I put on this. And really, this did not need a border. It worked out pretty nice, but I just wanted to add a little something to it. So I did add a shell border to it. And for this picture, you can see that I did not have the border on it yet. So it really does not look bad without a border. And I really, really love the texture of this blanket. And I think it's a nice gift for any baby shower. And here we have Diamond, who is sitting by the finished product after I had put on the border. He was very patient waiting for me to finish this blanket. It did take a while because I had a lot of works in progress. But like I said, I will be doing another video showing you how to make the border if you are interested. And thank you so much for joining me. And below, I will put a link to the free pattern. I hope you all have an awesome day. And as always, peace, love, and happiness to you all. Take care.